Today on the Extreme Channel, I have a Dragon Ball Z statue, some super glue, and what else do you need? Actually, probably about 3 different guys to lift this thing. Hey, before we get started on the Extreme Channel, if this is your first time visiting, you don't know that I don't know crap about Dragon Ball Z. That's right, I don't know what color. Do they crap brown like us? Green? Maybe yellow? Some Super Saiyan crap? Actually, I haven't watched Dragon Ball Z in a number of years. But recently here on the Extreme Channel, we've gotten more and more into the Dragon Ball Z figures because let's face it, they look awesome. This is the 4th edition of Mr. X's collection. Who's Mr. X? This is Mr. X, but Mr. X likes to talk about himself in the 3rd person. And I'm kind of blown away by this piece. And a lot of it is due to the massive size, but there's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. First of all, the reason why I have glue is because he was so big, a bunch of people decided to help unbox him at the office, and he broke. We'll come back to that in design. Today, as we do an in-depth review on this piece, as a disclaimer, I'm probably going to get a lot of facts wrong. So if I get those wrong and you freak out, I ask you to do 2 things. 1, go ahead and correct me in the comments below. 2, go cry to your mom. But this is officially 1/4 scale Broly from Timoon? How do you pronounce that? Let me know that in the comments below. And initially, I gotta say, I'm not disappointed. This is a pretty cool piece. Now, if you're unfamiliar with who Broly is probably the supreme bad guy in the DBZ universe, for the most part. It seems like in the Dragon Ball Z universe, sometimes they're good guys, sometimes they're bad guys. Everybody almost has their own agenda. So I wanted to get him because I have a Cell, I have a Boo. I definitely am on the lookout for an awesome Frieza. I've never seen one that I really liked. And there was a lot of great Broly options, but this one spoke to me for a few reasons. Number 1, it is true 1/4 scale. 2, it is showing him with the ball here. I absolutely love that in all my figures. It's kind of a must for me. And there's not really a 3rd reason. But I ordered this online about 2 months ago. It took about 2 months to get here. Price on this guy, I believe, was like $800, $900. Then shipping was another $300 to $450 because the packaging was crazy. We'll look at that in a bit. And I plan to put them right behind the camera with the other Dragon Ball Z pieces. I was going to put them on the bottom shelf, but as you can see, the height is crazy, which we'll also look at in a little bit. It's going to be the review that never ends. I'm just going to tell you that we're going to do everything later. Now, while this piece is crazy, it's not without its flaws, which we'll look at in a little bit. But before we look at anything else, we are doing a statue giveaway. Check it out. We are going to hit 20,000 subscribers in 2020. To do that, we're giving away a statue every 2,500 subs. At 15,000 subs, the winner will get to choose between these 2 PCS Mortal Kombat statues. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Then stay tuned towards the end of this video to find out how to enter. All right, so let's dive into concept with this piece. Now, because I don't know a ton about Dragon Ball Z, who knows how accurate I'll be on the concept, but it's actually pretty easy because this is Broly, as I said, one of the classic Dragon Ball Z villains, one of the most powerful villains, and this is one of his most powerful forms. It's probably his newest form. I think it's the legendary Super Saiyan or whatever it is with the green hair. And he's on a standard Dragon Ball Z base. You have a bunch of rocks going on. You have a big crack in the ground along with the logo on the front. And the power's coming up. And his power showing, rising all around him, kind of a wave effect, which is pretty neat. And then he is sitting there full attack mode, ready to throw a dodgeball at his enemy. With just an evil smirk on his face, which I think really encapsulates him. His skirt is flowing in the wind. I bet you that pissed off some Dragon Ball Z people, me saying skirt. His clothes flowing in the wind. Just really ready to fight. Like I said, the classic dodgeball stance is what you got going on here, but he does look incredibly badass. He is a much bigger character, so even though this is 1/4 scale, it's a huge 1/4 scale piece, and I think he looks phenomenal. I love the concept of this. It shows him evil. It shows him in attack pose. It shows him using his power. I think they did a great job capturing him. Quite a few of the 1/4 scale Brolys that are really popular actually are a diorama, so they have another character in it, whether it's Goku or whoever, maybe in the classic Goku fight. So concept though, I give it a 4 out of 5. I don't give it a 5 out of 5 because it's not incredibly creative. It's kind of basic, but they pulled off the basic aspect and they gave me exactly what I wanted. Design, there's tons of different stuff going on. So first of all, let's just start breaking it down. Let's do the size of this piece first. And I do need to remeasure because I got to redo some shelves to figure out where he's going to go. I'm going to say the widest point is 27. If you display the crystals out of the ball, that is well over 35 inches. Without that, it's about 31 inches. And then the depth is probably very similar. Actually a little bit less, hard to tell, but a little under 23 inches. The unboxing was freaking crazy. Check it out. It was 3 giant boxes. The weight of this guy is over 100 pounds, which is crazy. Each had an art box. One of them, I actually had to destroy the outside shipper box just to get into it because it was wrapped so tight. Now here are the different layers. Lots and lots of pieces, a lot more than I thought there would be. And right here, you're going to see what's going to happen when this is sitting and someone bumps it because so many people were helping me out. So after a minute of agonizing, I actually had that same people watching me, which was kind of intimidating. We actually had to reshoot quite a bit because they kept walking in front of the camera or behind me. I think they were watching Jerry Springer or playing video games. But the supersine effect or the wave effect on the back, you actually had to put in a specific order, which was interesting. It took me a few different times to figure out. You also had to put some of the placeholders or the rocks in at the same time. Broly went in pretty easy. Now everything is hooked up because there is a light up feature that we're going to show. There are no switch outs, so everything kind of is as it is. Other than that ball I just assembled, you're going to see that you can put those crystals in there or display it without. I like it both ways. It took me a long time to figure out which crystals went in which location, and I think that it was a disadvantage. They were somewhat labeled, but only on the crystals, not on the ball itself. And also, we're going to look at something else where no crystal will actually fit in the ball facing the lower rear part. So here you can see the pieces that broke off. Thankfully it was a decently clean break. So here's a picture of it reassembled, and you really can't tell too much where the break was, a little bit, but nothing I can't live without. My biggest concern is if I ever try and sell this. It does have the logo down at the bottom. You guys know I'm not a fan of logos on the front of a piece, but a lot of people I flow with or work with don't know what Dragon Ball Z is, so it's kind of helpful here, to be honest. A few other quality issues I had. This came broken off on the front, so I had to glue that back in. The ball itself, it's hard to tell on the pictures here because of the reflection, but there's this white crap all over it, almost like it was scarred or scuffed by the foam or dirty. I've tried to rub some of it off.
Hey, that's what she said.
But it's just not coming.
That's what she said.
Now, a huge design flaw I have is the crystals coming out of the dodgeball here. There is one in the back that would actually run into this, and I must be assembling it wrong because there's no way they would make it prohibitive. So here's a picture of that. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'll have to watch another review. I generally stay away from other reviews until I actually have the piece in hand so you get my fresh thoughts. Last thing about design is it has a cool light up feature. So here's a picture of it. I haven't seen this yet, so hopefully it looks awesome. So some crazy stuff going on. Did they make this too big? I don't know. I think it's scaled accurately, especially when I look at the other characters, so I tend to say no. Especially when you consider he is such a major villain with so much power, and this really, the size shows his power. Some broken issues along the way, I can get past that. Oh, there also is a huge seam line on the portrait. Check it out right here. And there's not multiple portraits, so that's just for engineering cuts for shipping, so kind of a bummer. So really with design, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff. It's a 3 out of 5. It is a statue that's almost too big, it's too heavy. Like I said, I completely have to redo my shelving just to get it in there. But let's talk about paint and sculpt, and as usual, we'll do a close-up video of this piece. Again, I think there's a lot of good stuff, and then some stuff they definitely could have done better. And keep in mind, I'm used to reviewing pieces from like Prime 1 Studios with some micro detail. This one still has a lot of that micro detail we're going to talk about, but let's take a look. What's interesting about the logo on the front, it's really worn, and I don't know if that's intentional or it just got beat up in the shipping. But the colors are nice. They're more of a dull color, where traditionally on a lot of these that I've seen, it's brighter colors that really make it pop. I kind of like this because it kind of insinuates the evil of Broly. So I think they did a nice job with that. Then there's some more scarring. Like I said, I don't know if that's due to the packaging. Now the rock here, I'm not a huge fan of. It's not done bad, but I don't think it's excellent. I think the colors they chose didn't really help complement the sculpt of it. It almost looks like it has kind of a wet effect on some of it. Doesn't necessarily look like real concrete. Now for a resin statue, I still think it looks really good, but just not used to some of the detail that I'm seeing, especially when you look at some of the pieces that are kind of coming up with as waves, the power here, the Super Saiyan. So I think Definitely some opportunity. They could have added a little bit more texture to it, maybe some rubble in the rocks. And the same thing can be said about this red lava type effect that they have going on. I think it's a cool concept, but it just doesn't look that good to me. I think the color choices are a little bit off. But I do like it in the middle here. At the bottom, you kind of have, you know, the bottom of the earth here, this green cesspool, this clear resin at the bottom. It's this cavern like coming, you know, that he's breaking with his power. I think that's pretty neat. You still see a few white flakes on here from the foam. Like I said, this was just an incredibly heavy statue. He's got his golden boots with the red clothing tied around it at the bottom, and some battle damage. Like most pieces, some really cool Aladdin type baggy pants. Now the texture, the print on here isn't very clean. You can see more detail in some places than others, so I think that's definitely a miss. I think that was missed in the QC process. You see that on the other pants. I like the colors. There's some light shading in there with the blue, which really helps contrast like this red shading. Now this is done really well. The texture on it, there's a lot of battle damage, tears, some black shadowing in the folds. The way it's flowing in the wind looks really cool. His golden belt, and I believe I haven't looked at it yet, but that light up feature that I showed should show right there. And let's look at the effect here. So it looks good, clear resin. I expected some cracks with how many were coming. It looks really good actually. I like the fact that they did incorporate the stones flying up with it to kind of make you think the earth is flying up. It looks okay. I mean, it's not bad, it's not good. Right here. And let's start at his anatomy. They did a great job on his anatomy. The vein work's a little too much, especially the fact they didn't paint it blue. I like the scars he has healed over, but very over-muscularized like he is. The skin tone is good. Like I said, other than they really should have just put some blue veination. I think that's kind of really the biggest aspect of the paint I'm not a fan of. And keep in mind when you're looking at it, it's like those don't look like real scars. This is not a real person. The battle damage again on his gold gauntlets, his necklace with a matching blue ruby or whatever. No, I guess it wouldn't be a ruby. Gem. So the vein work is almost overpowering in a bit. Kind of the placement of it maybe. His hair looks good, kind of faded back. What's interesting is it's a lighter than it's appearing on camera in person. So it's got almost some yellow streaks in there. I think it's a great portrait of him. His teeth are a little bucky, but other than that, looks nice. You know, when you go with a Dragon Ball Z character, do you want it more accurate to the actual show, or do you want it kind of a realistic take on it? I'm more of a fan of a realistic take, but I think this is a decent adaptation from the show right here. So great anatomy. Could have done better on the veins. Teeth is a little bit bucky. I like the hair, the effect.
So I like the paint a lot. I think they did a really nice job, the contrasting. I don't think it's amazing by any means, but
Some of the paint on the body really bothers me, so for that reason, it is a 3 or a very nice.
And I think a lot about the sculpt. I think Broly's done much better than the base, but typically on these figures, I don't see a really fancy Dragon Ball Z base. I'm tempted to give the sculpt a 4 out of 5, especially with his clothing and his anatomy, but I think the base takes up so much of the statue, so it's a 3 out of 5, which is still a very good score. Value on this piece. So I think I was $1,200, $1,300 all in when it came to shipping. This is a huge 1/4 scale piece. I don't think the value is bad by any means. However, the resale value isn't the best because he's so big. He's 3 boxes. So if I'm going to ship this even to somebody in the continental US, I mean, I'm probably talking a minimum of $300 shipping. So I think that hurts it a lot. They also made 800 of them, which is quite a bit, which hurts it as well. But still, you get a lot for what you pay for. I mean, a Prime 1 Studios piece that's maybe 75% of this size is probably about the same price nowadays. So I give the value right in the middle, a 3 out of 5. Now the X factor. This is the overall score. It's not a cumulative score. It's when I look at this piece, am I taken aback? Is it awesome? If I had more ties to Broly, I think it would possibly be a 4 or a 5 statue for sure. I do not, but it is just impressive by the size, a lot of the detail, some of the stuff they did. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 statue. It's a rail, it's not quite a grail, but it's a statue they'd really want. So overall, it's just a crazy, crazy piece. I want you to throw in the comments what you think of this one. When I initially ordered it, some people said, ooh, that's not a good one to get. I disagree with you. I really do like this piece. But let me know in the comments what you think, because entering a comment will also help you win that statue. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these two pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Make sure to hit that Mr. X logo and subscribe if you have not. Over half of you haven't. Also, check out some of these other custom statues on the playlist. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.